because we're good people. Doesn't mean we won't kill you. 5 of them aren't back in an hour. I'll put a knife in the base of your skull.
Alright, what's going on, guys? Matt back again with his weekly review of The Walking Dead. This is for Season 6, Episode 10, entitled The Next World. Of course, the big thing of this episode is everybody's talking about. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I'm not against it either. It was Michonne is finally a thing. Rick and Michonne officially hooked up in the end of this episode, so a lot of people that were rooting for that are really happy and whatnot. But yeah, you kind of see the signs from season to season. They were building towards it at some point. You had a feeling. But yeah, it is official. Michonne fans just unite. And apparently Rick likes the dark meat. Okay, jokes aside. Let's get right into this review. This episode starts. It's a little bit of a time skip from from No Way Out, with Carl getting shot in the eye and everything, and Alexandria's already been cleaned up, and they're building the walls back up and everything, and trying to get back to sustainability. The episode starts with Rick, and he's talking to Michonne and Carl, and they're talking about just a bunch of light humor about toothpaste, just general life talk, which is weird, after all the events of the last episode. And Rick and Daryl are planning to go on a run to try to get some food, because they're running kind of low on food source and whatnot. So before they leave, Denise talks to Daryl and asks if he can find a certain kind of soda that she overheard Tara in her sleep talking about, and it'd be a nice surprise, because she mentions that Tara is going to go on a 2-week some kind of 2-week run with Heath coming up, so she thinks it'd be like a good going away present. So Daryl said he'll do what he can, try to get it. So as they're leaving, Eugene gives them a list of agricultural spots that he found out in the area, so they can try to get some kind of food or whatnot. So he kind of gives them a little map to the best spots. So that's how the episode starts. Rick and Daryl are going out on a run. While they're out on a run, they do find this place that's got this truck, kind of like a U-Haul truck, a little small U-Haul truck, and it's packed with food and all kinds of stuff. They kind of hit the jackpot with it. So they leave their car, and Rick's like, well, we'll come back for the car. We'll take this back, and we'll take a different way back, see if we see anything else we can get. So they're taking the truck back, and they end up coming upon a gas station, and so they're going to check it out, see if they can scavenge, see if they can get anything. At the gas station, they find a tipped over vending machine, and they end up tipping it over using a chain from the truck, and because it's too heavy for them to lift it. So they get the chain, they hook it on, they tip it over, and they're looking in it, and as they're inspecting it, the new character from the comics is finally introduced, Jesus. In the comics, his name is Paul Monroe, but I think they wanted to change it for the TV series, just because they don't want to be confused with the Monroes from Alexandria, like Spencer Monroe and Deanna and all them. So when he introduces himself to him, he introduces himself as Paul Rovia, aka Jesus. He tells them, people call me Jesus, but his last name is the only thing that's different. So, but yeah, he bumps into Rick, and of course they draw their guns on him and everything, and he's he tells them that, I'm running from the dead. There's about 10 of them. They're about a mile back or whatever, and so you probably got about 10 minutes. Tells them, and then of course they go back and forth. He asks if Rick and them got a camp, and they say no. They ask him if he has a camp. Of course he says no, and they're just kind of filling each other out. And then he said he was like, I gotta go, and Rick that's when Rick introduces, hey, I'm Rick, this is Daryl, and then that's when he introduces himself, and you could tell it's real tense situation, because they don't really want to trust each other. So Paul Monroe, or Jesus, he runs off around the corner of the building, and then we hear something from the back of the building, Rick and Daryl go investigate. When they get back there, it's a bunch of firecrackers. And then, of course, Daryl goes, "Oh, man, when he ran into you, did he swipe your keys?" And Rick feels, for his keys, and he's like, "Oh, shit." So they run back to the front of the building, and sure enough, when Jesus originally bumped into Rick, he has, I guess, got the keys for the truck, and he takes off on the truck, and he peels out, and of course Rick and them later on, it shows Rick and them, they're chasing after, I guess, because Daryl's a tracker. I guess I don't know how he does it, but he's tracking them, and they're running after him, and for whatever reason, I think he's changing a tire maybe or something. It looked like Jesus on the truck. I don't know if he got a flat or something, but he's changing a tire. That's why he has to stop. And while he's doing that, of course, before he can get going again, Rick and Daryl catch up, and Rick basically like bear hugs him from behind. He's like, "Don't move, and, if you don't want to get hurt." And then Jesus pulls out some ninja shit, man. He gets out of the little hold Rick's got, punches him, punches Daryl. But of course, they end up getting the upper hand on him. And they get their guns out, and they got him at gunpoint. And there's a funny line, Jesus like, "Do y'all even have ammo in those things?" And a walker's approaching from behind, and of course they shoot, they both shoot the walker, so it's pretty funny. So they tie him up in the middle of the road, and they're basically just gonna leave him, well, Rick says the knots aren't that tight, so you'll be able to get out eventually, and whenever we're long gone, is what he tells them. So once they're on the truck, they're leaving, they hear something on top of the truck, and somehow this guy got out of Jesus got out of his ties that were tied up, got on the roof, and I don't know, it's crazy. He's like a damn ninja. And but Rick, at this point they're in like a field, like by it looks like a barn, like a farm, and like a lake. And Rick hits the brakes, shoots Jesus off the front. Daryl gets out and he's chasing Jesus around. It's hilarious. Just the way it looks like when he's chasing him around this field. And Rick has to get out the truck and fight off some walkers that are in the field, So as he's doing that, and Daryl's chasing Jesus. Jesus jumps into the truck, the driver's side of the truck, and Daryl's right there, and they're having a scuffle. And somehow Jesus gets Daryl's the little sidearm gun that he has, and they're kind of scuffling, and he points the gun, and look like he's gonna shoot Daryl, but then he says duck, and Daryl ducks, and there's a walker coming up behind him. He shoots the walker, and then Daryl says thanks, and then punches Jesus in the face. It's hilarious back and forth with Daryl and Jesus. But anyways, how this is going on, when they're fighting, they accidentally put the truck in reverse, and it starts backing up, and it backs in, and as it's backing up, it runs over, it hits Jesus and kind of runs him over a little bit, and it kind of knocks him unconscious, and the truck backs into the lake, and of course they lose all their supplies as it's going into the lake, it's drowning into the lake. So Rick wants to, he's on the whole episode, just wants to give this guy a chance. So Rick's like, we're gonna take him back and let Denise look at him, get him patched up, and see what this guy's all about. So they take him back to Alexandria. They take him to Denise. He's still unconscious the whole time. And also, before I get to the Rick and Michonne stuff, the other little subplot of this episode, Enid and Carl were outside the walls. He's got his little groovy little eye patch and everything. Well, not an eye patch, it's like a bandage right now. But they're out reading comics and stuff. And she remember before, she always wanted to be outside the walls, and now she's like, she didn't really want to be out there and everything. So Carl basically tells her, well, just go. If you don't want to be here, just go back and everything. And while they're out there, a walker, Deanna, is seen, and Carl, he lures her over to where earlier in the episode Spencer was out there with a shovel, and Michonne sees him and follows him, and they have a little back and forth about trying to figure out why he's out there. And he's like, I don't need your help, and he won't really say why. And of course Carl lures Deanna, the walker Deanna, over there, and then Spencer ends up putting her down. And he's like, that's why I was out here. He said he had seen her. He thought he had seen her in the past, and he was just trying to, I guess, for closure. He wanted to be the one that put her down and bury her. So, they ended up burying Deanna and everything. And, okay, back to when Rick and Daryl got back, with Jesus. They got him over at the infirmary. And so Denise checks him out and everything. And and then they tie him back up again. And then the end of the episode is when Rick, he finally gets home, and then Michonne's there, and they're just having a bunch of little small chit chat about their day and everything. And that's when Rick's like, I had your toothpaste, but it's at the bottom of a lake. And he goes, but I was able to get this, and he gives her some mints because she was talking about when they were on the run, she was asking for them to get her some toothpaste. But he gives her some of these mints, and then they kind of, when he gives them the mints, they kind of they're holding hands, and you can just tell it's about to happen. And then they start kind of kissing and making out, and they said they cut to the next scene where they're both laying in bed, butt ass naked. So we know what happened there. And the episode ends, where they're asleep, and all of a sudden you hear Rick, and then they both jump up, startled. Michonne's got her katana in hand, and Rick's got his revolver. And it's Jesus. He's standing there. Somehow he got out. He's awake. He got out of the infirmary, and he got out of his rope that he was tied up with. And he stands at the foot of the bed, and he says, "We have to talk." And that's how they end the episode. But yeah, it was pretty. This is more of a slower episode, but it was cool to see for all the people that were rooting for Michonne, is what they're calling them, Rick and Michonne. It was cool to see Jesus introduced, a new comic book character. He's a really big part of the comics, so he should be a big part of the show coming up. Like I said, it wasn't an action-packed episode, but like I said, after last week, you really can't have back-to-back crazy episodes like that. So this is a good character development episode. We saw closure with Deanna, Spencer putting her down and everything. So all in all, not too bad of an episode, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So, but yeah, like I said, I know this ran a little long, got a little rambling, but like I said, I like to go pretty in-depth on these reviews. So, but like I said, appreciate you checking out as always. Comment, like, and also, most importantly, subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.
Welcome to Woodburn.